A central idea for many proponents of net neutrality is that users should all pay the same amount for internet service. And even more, users should all be able to use as much of the internet resource as they want to. They're concerned that ISPs have incentives to take advantage of consumers or to take advantage of or unfairly treat edge providers, but that alone isn't enough to justify broad prospective regulation of the internet. So pricing of internet service is similar to pricing that we see in any market. It's subject to supply and demand, competitive restraints keeping prices low, while companies are trying to raise their prices to earn a reasonable profit. We did say everyone can use as much as we want. We need to build a lot more networks at very high costs, which would raise the price for everyone. But the ISP market is also more complicated than most markets. Internet service is not a commodity good like apples or wheat or corn. It's a high fixed cost business because it's really expensive to build an internet service provider infrastructure. This means that companies need to recover two different types of costs. First, they need to recover their marginal cost, their ongoing operating expenses. For every bit that traverses their network, there's a little bit of money that the ISP needs to recover. The other part of their cost that they need to recover are their fixed costs, the cost of actually building and installing the network, the millions or tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars that they spend before they even get a single customer. A basic aspect of how ISPs price their services is that they charge different users different amounts for different tiers of service. This is sometimes referred to as price discrimination. That sounds bad, but it's actually incredibly good. Price discrimination in economic terms means we can get more people online for a lower cost. One of the ideas of net neutrality is that all users should have access to the internet on equal terms. Well, the problem with this is it imagines that every user wants to or needs to use a lot of data. But this simply isn't the case. Some uses are purely entertainment uses. Some uses have very substantial bandwidth or network requirements. Some have very minimal network requirements. Some are socially essential, the ability to get to government websites, to search for jobs, to do your homework. Some are a little less essential, streaming House of Cards the entire season in a single weekend. So here's the problem. If we say that every user needs to have the same level of access to the network at the same price, we're saying every user needs to pay the average price for average resource consumption. They're effectively being asked to subsidize those who are really consuming a lot of the resources. And if that's the model of pricing that you expect ISPs to offer, what's going to end up happening is the average price for internet service is going to go up as users use more and more and more of the network on an all-you-can-eat model, and that raises the cost for consumers who don't have that sort of need. For consumers who only want to have limited access to the internet for limited purposes, and that could push them out of the market altogether. Much better, if we want to have more users getting online, is to be able to have differential prices so that ISPs can tailor service plans to the high demand users who are willing to pay more, who are going to make more sophisticated use of the network, and have lower price service plans for users with more modest demands on the network. That's a much better way to get more users online.